Welcome back to CruiseReport.com's review of Viking Mars. Now, in part one, I gave you a little bit of our background, talked about our airline experience, the ship, embarkation, stateroom, and a little more. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll put a link up in the corner of this video as well as in the description below, so check it out. Once again, I'd like to remind you that if you're passionate about cruising, make sure you click that subscribe button down below and the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when we come out with new videos. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our next cruise is going to be on Discovery Princess in Alaska coming up in just a few weeks. So make sure you follow along on that adventure as well. Okay, let's get on with our two-part review of Viking Mars. So we can't really go much farther without talking about the health protocols. And since my last Viking cruise, the company has relaxed many of those strict COVID protocols. Even though Viking recommends getting a pre-cruise test before sailing, it's no longer a requirement, at least not in the countries that we visited on this cruise. And as I stated previously, these protocols can change day by day, so always check their website. As for masks, all crew members were wearing N95 masks throughout the cruise, but guests were no longer required to do so, unless it's required by local regulations when you're on a shore excursion. Masks are still provided in the stateroom. The contact tracing medallions that were required in 2021 are also gone, as are the daily temperature checks at the World Cafe and the restaurant entrances. Guests are still reminded to wash their hands when entering the restaurant or World Cafe at the sinks near the entrance to these venues. And in other venues, guests are reminded to use the hand sanitization stations. And there's always a crew member there to remind you. Hand sanitization stations are located everywhere on the ship. The buffet line at World Cafe is now self-serve. Having the crew members serving the buffet line is one protocol that we wish would have remained. But we do applaud the relaxation of these policies, and it signals that cruising is returning to normal. I'm sure that some of you may find it odd that we kind of celebrate the relaxation of these protocols since we ended up testing positive for COVID-19 on this cruise. But the reason for our position is simple. Other than social distancing and having crew members serve food in the buffet, we never really believed that the strict protocols provided any real protection from the virus to begin with. There is evidence to support our position since throughout 2021, with all of those strict protocols in place, cruise guests continued to get infected with the virus. And once we all learned that the so-called vaccine was really just a glorified flu shot and would not prevent the spread of the virus, all the other measures started to kind of look ridiculous. I think even the CDC finally figured that one out. I mean, if you can't prevent COVID from spreading on a cruise ship, a completely closed bubble where everyone's vaccinated, everyone's tested, everyone's wearing a mask, everyone's socially distanced, then you can't prevent it from spreading anywhere. So how did we contract COVID? Well, there's no way to know. We can determine the points where we feel like we were at the highest risk of infection. The first and most obvious is the crowded airport and the airplane. Even though we tested positive on day 8 of the cruise, it's very possible that we were infected when we boarded the ship after 17 hours of flying. The second most likely place would be on one of the crowded motor coach excursions. Airplanes and motor coaches are the two places where we were in close contact with others with no way to socially distance. Now, would wearing a mask have prevented us from contracting COVID? Well, all I know is that there are a lot of people throughout the world who wear masks religiously and still get COVID. The bottom line is, for us, we do not believe that Viking's COVID protocols, or the lack thereof, was a factor. This is a virus. Fortunately, it's likely that we were infected with the BA.5 strain, which is now the predominant strain worldwide. And while it's highly communicable, it's not as deadly as the Wuhan, the Alpha, or the Delta variants. Ricky started to feel bad on day 4 of the cruise, but nothing serious. Her symptoms started as a kind of a mild headache, a little bit of a sore throat, but by day 8, she had developed a pretty nasty cough that kept us both up most of the night. So when we went to the medical center on the morning of day 8, I had a mild headache, but I often get that from sleeping the wrong way. I went into more detail on all of this in a couple of videos which I posted from the cruise ship. So if you want all those details, I'll put links to those videos above and in the description below. Now, Viking did not administer Paxlovid, the new antiviral treatment for COVID, and it was not available from their medical center. We did ask. Overall, though, I feel like Viking's medical staff did a good job of following up with us daily to see how we were feeling. They gave us meds that did offer some relief from symptoms. By the end of the 5th night of our quarantine, our symptoms were mostly gone. The only remaining symptoms were fatigue and a lack of appetite. We were able to move around the ship on the final day of the cruise, but we missed some of the most beautiful ports on the sailing. A lot we'd like to have covered. Also, I was planning to shoot a lot of video on those last few days that I didn't get to do. Okay, enough COVID talk. There are many dining options available on Viking Ocean ships. So we're going to start at the top of the ship, work our way down. On deck 7 aft, you're going to find the World Cafe, the ship's Lido buffet. World Cafe is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day. It's one of our favorite buffets on any cruise line. Now, if you've followed us in the past, you know that we're just not big fans of buffets. The food is usually cold, flavorless, and kind of substandard, but World Cafe seems to do a better job than most. There is seating and nearly identical serving lines on both the port and starboard sides of World Cafe. At the aft of World Cafe, you'll find some additional seating as well as the aquavit terrace for alfresco dining. When the weather's nice, these large sliding doors can be opened to give the entire dining room an open-air feeling. Now, at breakfast, you can choose from all the popular items, or you can have eggs made to order. However, there are some changes from my Viking Orion cruise last year. You can no longer get a waffle made to order unless you want a vegan waffle. Who the hell eats a vegan waffle? You can only get one of the pre-made waffles from the buffet serving line. The fried rice at breakfast is gone, and that was my daily go-to item. There's an Asian serving station at the aft-facing section of World Cafe where they still offer some Asian specialties like dumplings and egg rolls, but I really do miss the fried rice. Now, for lunch and dinner, the hot dish items change every day. There is a carving station where you can have a slice of roast beef or chicken or duck or even porchetta on one day at lunch. The pizza can be found at the aft section of the starboard serving line, while ice cream is on the port side. And the pizza, quite frankly, is really good if you can get a slice right out of the oven. However, after only a few minutes on the serving line, the crust becomes limp and they just lose their flavor. One thing that's missing from World Cafe is a sandwich station where you can have a sandwich made to order. They do offer a daily sandwich offering, but sometimes Ricky just wants a simple ham and cheese sandwich on a baguette, which you can get on most cruise ship buffets. The Asian stir-fry station that I enjoyed so much on Orion last year is also on Mars. During lunch and dinner, there are daily specials offered here, and while everyone I tried was good, they're no longer prepared a la minute as they were on Orion. The dishes are now pre-cooked and are self-serve. There are some noodle dishes and soups that are still prepared to order, which are also good. But I did find it odd that you have to go back to the port or starboard serving line to get white rice to go with your entree. Dinner is served at World Cafe every evening from 6 to 9, and they still have the wonderful boiled shrimp and crab legs on the starboard serving line. On the port side, you're going to find some of the best selection of sushi offered on any cruise ship. In fact, there's several evenings where we just wanted a light dinner, and we made a meal on the sushi and the boiled shrimp. Now, on deck 7 midship, you'll also find the pool grill serving burgers, hot dogs, sandwiches. The burgers here are thick and juicy and can be made to order. I wouldn't say these are the best burgers I've had on a cruise ship, but they're probably in the top 3. When the line here is long, the service can be very slow, so patience is required. Now the fries are crispy, but on our 2 visits, they just weren't hot. And they still put that big dollop of coleslaw on the plate, and I'm not sure why, because all it does is provide liquid to make the fries kind of soggy. And yes, they do have onion rings, but you got to ask for them. They're not on the menu. The onion rings have a very crunchy panko breading, and they're quite good. On deck 7 forward, port side, you'll find Mamsen's, which is kind of like a Norwegian snack bar. Now, Norwegian specialties are available here throughout the day. It's a good spot for early riser coffee each morning. That traditional Norwegian waffle is something that every guest should try at least once. And don't balk at the dark curls of Norwegian cheese. That cheese is a caramelized goat cheese, and it can really complement the flavor of a syrup-soaked waffle. On deck 2 aft, you'll find the restaurant, which is the largest dining venue on the ship. I think it holds 400 people. The restaurant's open for breakfast, lunch on sea days, and dinner every day. We had dinner here one evening, and we were very impressed with the service and the food. I would say that the meal we had here was as good as any main dining meal on any cruise ship, and better than most. On my Viking Orion cruise, as I recall, they were requiring reservations to dine at the restaurant, but not on this cruise. The restaurant is now considered one of the casual dining options. There are 2 specialty restaurants on deck 1 aft. Manfredi's is Viking's Italian restaurant and remains one of the best restaurants on any cruise ship. Manfredi's is only open for dinner, and the menu is the same every evening. It offers an excellent choice of Italian specialties. Unfortunately, we were only able to dine there one time on this cruise, thanks to our quarantine. I had the antipasti starter, which was excellent. Ricky and I both had the cream of mushroom soup, which was also very good. My main course was the legendary bistecca fiorentina, a marinated and grilled ribeye that's still the best steak you're going to probably find on any cruise ship. However, my bistecca was noticeably smaller than what I've been served on previous Viking Ocean cruises. Now, it was still delicious, still a decent portion, but it was smaller. Maybe it's just a supply chain issue. Ricky had the risotto, which she devoured. And my history of Manfredi's side items has taught me to stick with the cream spinach, which was, as I remembered, delicious. Now, next door to Manfredi's on deck 1 is the chef's table, also only open for dinner. This is a unique ethnic degustation dining concept that features a 4-course tasting menu, which changes every 3 or 4 days. The meal includes a wine pairing with each course. However, an upgraded premium wine pairing is available for an additional $25 per person. Now, if you have the Silver Spirits package, as we did on this cruise, the upgraded wine pairing is included. Now, we've dined at the chef's table multiple times on different ships, but never experienced the Zhang menu. And I'm glad we changed our reservation to try this new for us menu. It may be our new favorite. The beef tenderloin main course was really to die for. And all the dining on board Viking Ocean ships is complimentary. And you would easily pay $30 to $50 per person to dine at Manfredi's or the chef's table on other cruise lines. There is one other dining venue on deck 1, and it comes at an additional cost. And that's the kitchen table, which is kind of an interactive cooking lab, but they only have it a few times per each cruise. Viking also offers 24-hour complimentary room service with a menu which can be found on the stateroom television or on the app. Room service breakfast can be ordered using the breakfast menu in your stateroom and hanging that menu on your door before you go to bed. Now, during our quarantine, we were limited to using room service for all of our meals. Room service was generally good, with delivery of our food arriving within 30 minutes of placing an order. There were a few hit or miss items. A couple of items we ordered didn't make it on the tray, and a couple items we didn't order did make it to the tray. Yeah, breakfast room service seems to be the most efficient, probably because they do more of that than lunch or dinner. And there's one more dining experience that I'd like to tell you about, but before I do, I'd like to once again ask you to take a second to click that subscribe button and join our community of passionate cruise enthusiasts. Remember, it's completely free to subscribe, and as a subscriber, you can be notified each time we post new videos. The last dining venue, which is very special, is afternoon tea at Winter Garden on Deck 7 midship. Now, Winter Garden may be one of the most beautiful spaces on any cruise ship, and it's perfectly suited for afternoon tea. Now, tea is offered every day from 4 to 5 p.m. Guests are offered a menu with a large selection of teas, freshly made scones with clotted cream and strawberry preserves, and they are delicious. And a 3-tiered tray of more savories and sweets, finger sandwiches, that may even have you reconsidering or delaying your dinner plans. There are 5 bars and lounges on Viking Mars. The Viking Bar is located on Deck 1 midship, just off the atrium. And here you're going to find some comfortable seating on Deck 1, Deck 2, even on Deck 3. The Viking Bar is open from morning to midnight. And this is one of our favorite places to come before dinner to listen to classical music and enjoy a cocktail. Torshaven is located on Deck 2, and it's more of a nightclub atmosphere with live entertainment later in the evenings. It opens at 9 p.m. until closing, whenever that is. The pool bar on Deck 7 midship and on Deck 7 aft is the Aquavit bar. Both of these bars open at 10 a.m. The pool bar closes at 8 p.m. while Aquavit stays open, I think, till 10. Explorer's Bar is still our favorite hangout with expansive views of the ocean and very comfortable seating. And bar service in all of these venues was excellent. And the drink prices are competitive with other cruise lines. A glass of Viking sparkling wine is still only $5.50, and it's our favorite sparkling wine on any cruise ship. A glass of Ponte Prosecco is $8, and most beers are in the $5 range. You know, Canadian Club, Crown Royal are all $8, although Crown Royal was not available on this sailing. Now, I seem to recall a happy hour special on previous Viking Ocean cruises, but I didn't hear it mentioned on this cruise, maybe because we had silver spirits. It should be pointed out that beer, wine, and soft drinks are complimentary with meals. Here's a little insider tip. If you're primarily a wine or beer drinker, you could get by with a long, leisurely dinner at the World Cafe, which is open till 9 p.m. Take your meal or snack out on Aquavit Terrace, and you can drink free from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. Viking does offer a silver spirits beverage package for $19.95 per night per guest, or $140 for a 7-night cruise. Now compare that to Carnival that charges like $52 a day for their Cheers drink package. And on Carnival, you're limited to 15 drinks per day. Does anyone really exceed 15 drinks per day? We did purchase the Silver Spirits package on this cruise and do consider it to be a very good value, even though we really didn't get to use it for 5 nights because we were in quarantine. We could have used it, we just didn't feel up to drinking. Not only do you get all the house wines, liquor, beer, including cocktails, house drinks, mixers, long drinks, soft drinks throughout the day, but it also includes the premium wine pairing at the chef's table, which is a $25 value by itself. When it comes to keeping guests entertained, the primary focus is on the destination itself. There are included excursions in every port, and optional excursions at an additional cost in most ports. There are lectures held in the Star Theater during the afternoons, which also focus on the destination. On sea days, you might find team trivia or bago competition, but that's about it. On days in port, there's very little offered in the way of onboard activities. This is where Viking Ocean cruise begins to feel more like a Viking River cruise. It's a much slower pace experience. The focus is on the destination and on relaxation. Now, while Viking is not famous for impressive, glitzy production shows like the bigger ships, we were pretty impressed with the shows we attended. Viking does have a cast of vocalists and a live band that put on some entertaining evening shows. Under the leadership of veteran cruise director Aaron Seifert, all of the vocalists were excellent, There was also a piano virtuoso and a magician who each had shows in the theater. As for lounge entertainment, Paolo played the guitar and sang each evening at Explorers. It was one of the best lounge performers we've ever enjoyed.
Let me photograph you in this life, case it is the last time that we might be exactly like we were before we realized.
The classic duo performed in the atrium each evening, as did pianist Sophia. On previous Viking Ocean cruises, we've seen Adagio dancers, but there weren't any dancers on this sailing. Most likely, Viking may still be in a rebuilding phase as far as entertainment after the COVID shutdown. One area where Viking Ocean really excels is the Live Nordic Spa. There is a substantial fitness center fully equipped with techno gym circuit machines, free weights, treadmills, and other cardio equipment. But the spa is one of the best you're going to find on any cruise ship, and it's complimentary. There are beautiful locker changing rooms for both men and women, a dry sauna, a cold plunge, showers, huge thalassotherapy pool, and a hot tub. And don't forget the snow grotto. That will really wake you up. The heated relaxation beds are also amazing, and there are pool loungers where you could take a nap if you wanted to. But when you get up from that nap, don't forget that cold water bucket dump. Unfortunately, this is one of the venues I planned to visit toward the end of the cruise and was unable to, again, due to the quarantine. The Live Nordic Spa offers a wide variety of spa treatments and massages and has a full hair and nail salon. Of course, there is a charge for these services. There are 2 swimming pools on Viking Mars. One is located midship on Deck 7 with a sliding roof that can completely cover the pool in inclement weather or cold weather. And there's a large hot tub at one end of the pool and plenty of loungers, both sun and in the shade. There's also an infinity pool and another hot tub aft on Deck 7 at Aquavie Terrace, which is a signature feature of all Viking Ocean ships. And this is the best place on the ship to enjoy a beautiful sunset. There's a walking path on Deck 8 where 4 laps will add up to 1 mile. The sports deck on Viking Mars is Deck 9 forward, features mini golf, table tennis, and lawn bowling, and 2 shuffleboard courts. There's also comfortable seating up here for some amazing views while sailing through the Norwegian fjords. Viking Mars, by the way, does not include the planetarium like you'll find on Jupiter and Orion. I think those are the only 2 ships that have the planetarium. The Star Theater is located on Deck 2 forward, and that's where you can enjoy lectures during the day or evening entertainment. There are also 2 cinemas in the aft section of the Star Theater, which are used to show movies, or can be used for additional theater seating during a show. If you're a sun worshiper, you'll most likely spend most of your time on Deck 7 aft around the infinity pool, or on Deck 8 aft, where an expansive deck can accommodate a lot of sun loungers. Our 15-night Viking Homelands cruise visited Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Norway, Poland, the Åland Island, and this is a very port-intensive itinerary with only 1 official day at sea. It's unfortunately that we missed 5 of those days due to our quarantine, but it is what it is. It is a nice itinerary. Well, as you can tell, we're big fans of Viking Ocean and Viking Mars. Viking Ocean remains one of our top 5 cruise lines of all time. And remember, we've sailed on 39 different cruise lines. We did notice a few minor changes to the food service and World Cafe, but you would really have to be nitpicky to notice it. As for complaints, the complimentary Wi-Fi sucked. On both days in port, it was non-existent. Fortunately, I had purchased an international data plan from Airlo.com prior to this cruise just for this eventuality, and in most ports I was able to use my smartphone as a Wi-Fi hotspot to get LTE data speeds to access the internet. Without Airlo, I wouldn't have been able to upload videos to my YouTube channel from the ship. So if you're traveling internationally and do not have an international cell phone plan, I highly recommend a service like Airalo. The eSIM was simple to install, takes just minutes, and they have a variety of plans to fit a variety of needs. As a result of my experience, CruiseReport is now an Airalo affiliate. So if you're interested in this service, I'll put links in the description of the video to their website. I'm not sure why cruise lines cannot seem to figure out this Wi-Fi situation. I swear I've been fighting this for 20 years, and it does not seem to be getting any better. And this is not unique to Viking. Earlier this year, we struggled to get any internet service aboard Celebrity Apex, and we had their top-tier plan. Along with the Wi-Fi issue, the live TV broadcasts on the ship's televisions were non-existent when the ship was in port. Why? This became a real annoyance when you're locked down in your stateroom for 5 days and nights with no Wi-Fi and no live TV. We do miss having a casino on these ships, but we could live without it. We both love the fact that there are no children under 18 allowed, no pishy photography sales, no art auctions, no charge for alternate dining, free Wi-Fi, complimentary use of laundrettes, no smoking, and no formal nights. You don't experience that feeling of being nickeled and dimed on Viking like you do on a lot of cruise lines. On this cruise, there were 780 guests or thereabouts, and the ship did feel quite full. There were some lines to get into the theater in the evenings. Afternoon tea in the Winter Garden felt pretty crowded as well. This was probably the highest occupancy sailing of any Viking Ocean cruise we've been on so far. A Viking Ocean cruise is one of the best values in cruising, and it is the only cruise line that can take you through the rivers of Europe, the oceans of the world, soon the Mississippi River, and expedition cruising. So if you have any specific questions about our cruise on Viking Mars, please post them in the comments section of this video. We do read all the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help out our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our website for our daily cruise blogs and Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for joining me today, and remember, always, smooth sailing.